Okay, so today's book is called Under the Quilt of Night, and it's written by Deborah Hopkinson, James E. Ransom. And I will say that this is going to be the second read aloud I did about slavery and the movement to free slaves. And there was a couple reasons why I chose it, which I'll say in a second. But the one thing I do want to point out is that both of these books talk about a time in our country that I'd say most of us are completely ashamed of. And whenever I think of horrible times in history, I always, and I'm teaching them to my kids and even my students, I always say, look for the helpers. Look for the people or the children or anybody who's doing better, who's helping, who's trying to make the situation better. Maybe someone got hurt and they go to help the kid get up and brush off their knee. Maybe they are in World War II and they hide a family in their attic. Or maybe during slavery, they risked everything they could to help people along the Underground Railroad. I think that when you look for the helpers, not only does it give you something to strive for, but I also think it gives you something to feel hopeful about, because there's always someone willing to help, always. And whether it's people like me who are trying to get the word out that we need to teach and be more empathetic, or maybe it is with people going out there and marching, people protesting. I'm making sure that my kids are completely aware of what's going on in our society right now. I'm making sure that my children are listening to news stations that I believe are giving fair representation of what's going on out there. We're listening to PBS. We're listening to, the CNN or MSNBC. We're listening to people who I feel like their coverage is going to be giving my children a look of what's really going on in there. And I also make them look at what's going on with our elected leaders, because really, kids need to understand the power they have. If you imagine all the kids that are turning 18 that have the ability to vote right now for the next president of the United States, if you don't like what you're seeing, you need to vote. That's all there is to it. Even if you like what you're seeing, which I don't think you'd be watching this video if you like what you're seeing. But if you like what you're seeing, you should vote. You just need, we have that power. And so this is the second book. It was funny. I was going through my kids' bookshelves and I was like, what book do I want to read for tonight? And it was like every other book was a book I could have read. And I thought to myself, when I'm wondering if I'm doing right, well, yeah, I am actually. And I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, because my kids are absolutely given books to read, whether my youngest son just finished second grade or my oldest son just finished sixth grade. They're given titles that are going to empower them. They're going to teach empathy. They're going to teach them about other cultures and other people and how they have to stand up for other people who may not be able to stand up for themselves. Okay. So unfortunately, I just talked for like 3 minutes, and they always say you got about 5 minutes of these things. So I've already wasted 3 of them. So hopefully you'll stick around for the rest of the book. It's Under the Quilt of Night. And I do think James Ransom's illustrations are quite amazing. And they're beautiful. I hope you can tell even though there's the glare. Running. I'm young, but my legs are strong. I can run. I run so fast, I lead the way. The ones I love race right behind, pounding dirt and grass, jumping rocks and roots. My feet make drum beats on the path. I'm running far away from the farm where the master worked us, hoeing and picking, mending and sewing, till my hands got raw. Now he wants to track me, catch me, chase me till my breath is gone, fence me in to be a slave again, but I'll make my steps quick whispers in the dark. I'll run where he won't find me, under the quilt of night. A river. We search long to find the little boat hidden in the reeds. Is it safe to go over? The water's deep and fast. But we cross without a sound, like the moon coming up over my shoulder to float across the sky. Waiting. Runaways like us must hide in daylight. So come morning, we crouch in the bushes till night. It's hot. Sweat dribbles down my neck. Thorns rake my arms and legs. In the still afternoon, mosquitoes whine and tease, just like the overseer's children did. All I can do is wait for the cover of darkness. Oh, if only I could dance into the open and sing so loud the stars would hear and hurry out to guide our way. Watching. We run and hide, run and hide. My cuts sting, my bites itch. I'm hungry all the time. One day at dusk, we make our way to a patch of woods at the edge of a town. There are more houses here, people, roads, danger. The others rest while I keep watch for a sign from the Underground Railroad. The friends who will help us get free. Hooey, wooey, wooey, an owl trills softly. I stop my breath to listen. Is it really an owl? Or the railroad's secret code? A sign that a friend is near? No, there he is, just a small, fat bird with round yellow moons for eyes. I try to be an owl myself, but my eyes hurt with watching. Then I see a woman walk through her yard wearing a plain dress. On her arm she carries a quilt to air. She hangs it over the fence, then she looks to the woods just once. I stare with all my might. I know what to look for. In most quilts, center squares are red for home and hearth, but these centers are dark, deep blue. This house hides runaways. I'm brave enough to go forward first. When at last the stars are up, I pull the darkness around me and run through long, wet grass. My foot trembles on the wooden step, and my knock is shivery and quick. Like the beating of my heart, who's there? Comes a voice. I swallow hard before I give the password. What if I'm wrong? What if I trust the quilt? So I say, the friend of a friend? Hiding. A man and a woman let us in. They give us clean clothes, hot stew and biscuits, sweet cherry pie. We talk in whispers, so we won't wake their little boy already tucked into bed. Their daughter, just my age, lets me hold her kitten. We follow her lantern, up narrow stairs to a secret room. Sleep now. Tonight, we'll keep watch, she says. I lie awake wondering about others who have hidden here. I won't ever know their names, but I find a message, a rough carved place in the wood under my mat. I make my fingers into eyes to explore it. Just before I fall asleep, I see it is a star. Traveling. Wake up! Hurry! Your master and his men are close behind. Our friend whisks us through the last folds of night and hides us deep in his wagon. The cold boards make me shiver. Straw pricks my skin like needles. We go north, across a bridge, under trees, a zigzag of here and there. We can't turn back. We would be eaten, sold away. Our chances gone for good. We must go on or die. I hang on tight. Fear is so real. It lies here beside me. The wagon rattles, horses clomp. Suddenly I tremble. Voices, we're caught. We're looking for runaways. What's in your wagon? Barks his voice. Eggs, sack of grain, vegetables to sell at the morning market, says our driver, smooth as honey. Search me if you'd like. I'm no friend of a slave. I keep still, a rock, though it feels like my heart will split. But the searchers are fooled, and at last they gallop off. Our friend laughs and cracks the reins. He calls to his horses, Giddy up! Hope and liberty? And the wagon rolls on. Singing. Birds wake, a rooster calls. I listen to night softly falling away. We stop at a little church deep in the piney wood. I pick the straw from my hair and rub my stiff, cramped legs. Our friend takes a stick and draws a map in the dirt of the road we'll take to Canada. These good folks will carry you on, he says. You're almost to freedom now. Over the trees, the sun comes up. The dark pines glow like gold. Freedom! I take a deep breath, and when I let go, my voice flies up in a song, my own song, of running in sunshine and dancing through fields. I'll jump every fence in my way. So if I was telling other teachers about this book, I would say it's an amazing book. There's a ton of figurative language, similes, metaphors, the whole idea of how a blanket is safe and covers you, and that you would be safe in traveling. The colors that they use, right? From the darkness, this beginning is very dark and very scary, and it's nighttime. And then all of a sudden the bright sun comes up and you see the feeling in the faces. You can see it. So just quickly getting into this book really quick, because it's 11 minutes. It's so important to read books about people that have undergone such immense, I'm trying to think, they've overcome such obstacles. Amazing. Because the whole idea about learning about history is that you should not repeat it, especially bad things in history that have happened, right? That's the whole idea of making sure that we teach about slavery and making sure that we teach about the Holocaust and other things that have happened. And what I don't understand is how we're still repeating it. We're still repeating the same old things, right? I mean, look what happened in this country in the last 4 years. Since our leadership, and I don't want to get too into it, but since our leadership, we have absolutely abandoned all of our knowledge of what's happened in history. We are not learning from it. We are still making people run for their lives, right? I mean, how is it that we can live in a country where a woman is willing to travel and risk death to get away from where she is, only to be put into a cage and then be judged about that, right? How is it that we live in a country where a victim is getting scrutinized because they weren't strong enough to handle the aggressor? That it doesn't make sense, right? People don't ask for that. So just if you could think about it. Thanks. Bye.